I'm delighted to say my first guest is a man who has plenty to say about the game and hopes to have plenty to say about the game for many years to come, hopefully with more raids to Royal Ascot. His first this year, after 37 years with a licence, comes in the shape of Enzo's lad, who will run in the King's Stand and then, all being well, will run in the Diamond Jubilee Stakes as well. It has been an extraordinary and oftentimes challenging journey for my first guest this morning, as he's about to tell you. I'm delighted to welcome to the Luck on Sunday studio Michael Pitman. Michael, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nick. Good morning to all the people out there watching. Yeah.
Now, you've been landed in England here for a good few days now. It's been an amazing week for you. Lots of attention. How are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it has been good. I mean, it's in some ways it's been overwhelming, the attention we're getting, because I mean, let's face it, we've got a 50 to 60 to 1 shot. But obviously, my journey to get here is what's the interesting thing, and I've been very open about it all the way through, because I hope that in some way I give other people their encouragement to press on as well.
Let's take it all the way back to the beginning. You've been training for nearly 4 decades now, but you didn't really have any background or established background in horse racing, did you?
No, except picking up tickets when I was a little kid, and probably betting too much when I was slightly older, you know. No, I was always keen on racing, obviously, but I never worked for anybody, never earned $1 working in a stable or anything like that. I was a reasonably gifted young golfer, played a lot of sport. That's what Mum and Dad encouraged us to do. There were 6 children in the family. And but when I met my wife Diane, we decided that we'd have a go horse training. I had my licence for only 1 month, and when I got my licence, other trainers said I got it in a wheat mix raffle. I should never have got a licence, and they're probably right, to be honest. But I was given a chance because of my sporting background and other things. And but a month into it, I had a really bad accident and spent 26 consecutive weeks in hospital. Got hit by a car.
And just tell us what the upshot of that accident was.
I now have an artificial leg below limb, have a wired up ankle, and your ankle's a lot like your wrist. You know, you've got a lot of rotation. I've got very little rotation in my ankle at all, and I still have a steel rod in my thigh, my right thigh. So as I've said to a couple of people, I'm the clown that goes to the airport and all the bells, whistles and sirens go off and they have to frisk me every single time, and I hate it, to be honest with you, but that's just part and parcel of my life, you know. You
can smile about it now, and it's several decades on, but you've lived with this prosthetic limb for, as I say, nearly 40 years. At that time, as a young man, how dispiriting was it?
Well, because I was there for 20 odd weeks before I lost my limb. You know, they tried to save it. A surgeon actually came out from Scotland to do all the specialist work on me, and I had untold operations. Probably the one thing that I do look back on, and I hope people understand what I'm going to say here, is that I was probably really very, very lucky, apart from what I had, that I never ended up getting AIDS, because that's about the time when things like that started to happen with blood transfusions, and I had about 6 or 7 blood transfusions as well. So I think I dodged a bullet there, to be quite honest with you. Yeah.
It seems to me that every time something really significant has happened in your life that would fell a lot of people, you've just used it to spur yourself forward. Is that something from your childhood? Were you always someone who could sort of pick yourself up when you'd taken a knock?
Well, being with 5 boys and a girl in the family, and being sports-minded, I mean, we're always providing half the rugby team, half the soccer team, half the cricket team in the neighbourhood that we were. And you know, I don't like running second on a racecourse, and I certainly don't want to run second in life itself, you know. I'm a cup half full person, and yeah, I'm very competitive. Yeah, I guess that's what keeps me going.
So tell me about the early part of your training career, and it's not just you, is it? It's definitely you and Diane, your wife. I've met Diane. She's a wonderful woman, and she's been by your side all the way. So tell us about the early days and how much of a struggle it was to get to where you wanted to get to.
When we started out with about 6 or 7 horses, and even though I'd never worked, I don't think I'd even trained a winner at that stage, but because of my golf and my relationships and everything like that, I had a couple of really nice owners who gave me horses to train. But when I had my accident, I was in a wheelchair for a good while, obviously to get used to the leg and everything like that. But we struggled for probably 2 or 3 seasons. Everybody said you can't train winners from a wheelchair. But we just started to win the odd race or two, and we went to a place called Blenheim, and we won the trainers' prize there over a 3-day carnival, beat a lot of good trainers, Bruce Marsh, who trained in Singapore, Paddy Bussett and the likes of them. And then all of a sudden, I'm not going to say it it didn't help me, but it certainly didn't worry me, the fact that I was a person who's a wheelchair, at wheelchair or on an artificial leg, and I managed to overcome it. So I might have got a little bit more publicity than I should have, and I think that's what helped us, yeah.
So even now, you reflect on that as an advantage of some sort?
I think we turned a disadvantage into an advantage. Certainly once we started to train winners, it was always the person who, you know, just like you said, you've overcome a bit of difficulty along the way, and people react well to that. I know they do. So
you started to do well, but you never expanded the stable beyond 35 or 40 horses. Why was that?
I couldn't handle it. That's as simple as that. I tried and it just drove me nuts, you know. It's just too many. We're always around about the 35 to 40. We might get up to 45 at Christmas time, because we do race a lot at Christmas time. When I got to 40, like a lot of blokes in life, I wondered whether I was going in the right direction, so I actually went to Australia. Worst thing I ever did, probably lost 50 grand in 12 months, set us right back. But I had a wife and 2 young children at that stage, and we weren't progressing the way I wanted to. Financially, I guess, is probably the biggest factor. So I went to Australia, didn't work out. We came home, but we'd specialised in getting horses off other trainers and doing well with them, and it's only in the last 6 or 7 years that we've actually gone out and bought horses. For where we are in the Trainers' Premiership in New Zealand, we'd have bought the least amount of horses of any of the top 20 trainers for a long time. Yeah.
The lure of Australia is, I guess, obvious, the bigger money and the sort of high-profile tracks, and the idea that you could make an impact in what's a massive horse racing jurisdiction now, one that's on the up. But when I look at pictures of you training, I think you couldn't wish for a more idyllic setup. And New Zealand's such a beautiful country, and you go and train on the beach and what have you. It just looks it looks dreamy in many respects.
Yeah, we've actually trained over 20 winners in Australia. We've won a couple of listed races in Australia as well. But I guess we know our niche market, we know where we're best placed, and we're happy where we are in the South Island. Yeah.
And look at that, who wouldn't love waking up to this every morning?
Yeah, that's not far. We can work 6 horses in an hour and a half from our place. That's at a beach called Spencer Park. And the black horse, you won't have noticed there, that's a horse I hope to bring here next year by Dream Ahead, who won the July Cup. Yeah. The
black horse that you mentioned, the very dark horse there in the middle.
Yeah.
He's by Dream Ahead, and he's a horse called Sensei.
That's right, yeah.
Sensei is named for your son Jonny, who you lost in tragic circumstances in 2013, and the idea was that you and Jonny and your son Matthew, your other son Matthew, were all going to train together. Just tell me a little bit about Jonny's life.
Yeah, Jonny was a really gifted sports person. He played rugby league in the New Zealand Universities World Cup. We actually wanted to call the horse Pitbull because on a league field, he's not much bigger than me, but on a league field he was very tough and he's very gifted. And they had a move called Pitbull, which obviously focused around him. He represented New Zealand in judo, and he went to Samoa. He only ever fought in 2 taekwondo tournaments in Australia, and he won both of them. He trained in Japan for the best part of 4 or 5 weeks under one of the world's leading judo instructors, and I think there was 30-odd people in the class, and he was the only person that never had a black belt, and the sensei, the instructor, at the end of it took off his black belt and gave it to my son, which we still have. You know, it's quite sentimental, quite yeah, it's quite touching what he did, and it meant a lot to my son. But my son always suffered from depression. He had done since he was 14, and he took his own life at 28.
And this is still relatively recent. It's 2013.
Yeah.
And I've seen what a close-knit family you are, and close-knit family unit. But Michael, you've wanted to talk about
I've been very open about it. Yeah.
Jonny and Jonny taking his own life because you want to raise awareness for it. Just tell us a little bit about some of the work you've done in New Zealand for that.
Well, one of the big things, Canterbury Rugby League, when my son played for both Hornby and Riccarton clubs, you know, and every season when those two meet, they play for the Jonny Pitman Memorial Trophy, and we give a prize to the winning team plus the player of the days, and they get great publicity. On the sideline, they have half a dozen people with banners on, you know, to say it is all right to say, you know, please or yes or help or whatever it says, because there's a lot of sporting people, in particular high achievers, do suffer from depression, you know. We all put on a great face at times, but inwardly there's a lot of people suffering that no one knows about, you know, and I've spoken to various people about it and people have rung me, whatever, but I mean, you know, we're not happy with what Jonny did, but he did it for his own personal reasons, but, you know, I wish he hadn't, obviously, you know, but it was his way out of life, I guess, yeah.
Many people, when they're dealing with somebody taking their own life, particularly somebody close to them, talk about their anger directed at that person. I don't sense that from you.
No, I got no anger. No. Had a lot of help myself. I mean, I got pretty depressed about everything. I'm nearly to that stage, obviously, but I was asked by, I went to a shrink and a few times, and he said to me one day, I want you to give me a pen and a piece of paper, and he said, I want you to write down the good things that your son did and the poor things or the bad things. Well, I mean, I couldn't write down. There was one column to the left and one column to the right, and the good column was full of different things. I couldn't write one bad thing down, you know. My son was a really good boy, yeah.
How are you enabling his memory, in a sense, to live on through the training enterprise?
Well, we make no secret of the fact that he's a big part of it, and fortunately we had a lot of help from the racing industry gathered around us and everything like that. And one thing we did, we changed our colours when Matthew came on board. Originally it was supposed to be a three-way partnership. Jonny was also was one unit of getting a double degree in marketing and economics, so we were going to have a three-way partnership of myself, two boys. Jonny was going to do the syndication side of it, where we were going to upgrade, get slightly better horses. Matthew was going to work, and I was going to steer the ship, basically, you know. That's what fathers do to their sons. And anyway, when he passed away, we asked the thoroughbred racing, which is like Weatherby's here type of thing, and we ended up putting a silver fern on, which people will see at Ascot, and the stalk goes down to a letter J. So Jonny is with us every day we go to the races.
And it's lovely that they enabled that for you, as well.
I got a new set of colours just made for here, and it's the same thing. We've got the people here in England that made them for us. They've done that for us as well. So we've got a brand new set of colours for Ascot, and they've got the letter J on them as well. Yeah.
So it's Sensei, the horse that's named for Jonny,
yes.
And hopefully Sensei will come to Ascot next year. But he's got a Pathfinder, and the Pathfinder is Enzo's lad, who you hope to run in the King's Stand and the Diamond Jubilee. How happy are you with him? How's he been training?
Oh, look, we're really happy. He went to Hong Kong and he failed in Hong Kong, but he doesn't go right-handed, and I know Ascot's right-handed, but it's a straight run, so it doesn't matter what leg he gets on, you know. He prefers good tracks, and fortunately in the last sort of 24 hours it looks like we're going to get a reasonable track. But he has run an exceptional time. When he won at the Telegraph in January, he carried top weight of 58 and gave away 6 kilos to most of the horses. And he ran 1:6.95, broke 1:7. Well, I mean, I know we've got fast clocks in New Zealand and we run phenomenal times at times, but I can't recall any other horse breaking 1:7. So, yeah, that's him in the white cap just behind the leader. The horse I hope to bring here is the horse out wide in the red cap.
And the horse out wide in the red cap is travelling rather well at this stage. It looks like the best horse in the race.
Well, he covered a lot of territory, but I mean, you've got to remember there's a few Group 1 winners in behind this race. Bostonian that's gone to Brisbane and won both days. He's in the blue and white. And, you know, he's a big, strong horse, my horse.
So you look at the field and you've got two exceptional world-class sprinters in there in Batash and Blue Point, and one that's not far away in Mabs Cross. What are your realistic aspirations on Tuesday to start with?
Yeah, well, I obviously hope he goes. You know, I hope he wins it. Of course, I do. It'd be stupid to sit here and say anything different. But I'm realistic enough to know that this is, you know, the horse deserves to be here. Let's face it. He's won 2 Group 1s in New Zealand. We paid 15,000 for him. He's won 300 odd thousand, close to 400,000 New Zealand dollars. So he's well in front on the you know, the ledger side of it. The owners are here for a good time as well. Most of the owners, 95% of the syndicate are going to be here in regards to their percentage shares. I mean, they're going to lap it all up. This is Royal Ascot. This ain't just a picnic meeting out in the bush. This is the best meeting in the year on any jurisdiction, you know. And they've come across with their eyes wide open. And it's as much about being here as it is about the horse, I guess. And I mean, if we can run a good, honest race, I mean, I'd love to run top 6. There's been champions from all over the world who contested races at Ascot and not run top 6. If we can run the top 6, he'll certainly get a pass mark.
And how long are we going to enjoy you being here in in the UK, do you think?
Well, fortunately for us, I'll say it, because I despise winter racing in New Zealand. I hate it. There's no money, the weather's rubbish, you've got to travel and you're racing in tracks like this. So we're not busy at home. We've actually closed up shop in the winter at home from, say, May right through to August. So I can be here as long as I like, you know, and I'm hoping to stay for the July Cup, because the guys at Newmarket, Adrian Beaumont and all the Newmarket people have been so good for me. I mean, I hope to stay. I hope I'm worthy of staying here to be starting with, but I hope to stay here for the July Cup on the 13th of July.
We'd like to keep you for a little while, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The most recent part of this story is perhaps the most extraordinary one, insofar as that you've had to endure cancer in the last year and a half. And the good news came as you landed at the drop-off point at Los Angeles Airport.
Yeah, I mean, if you said I've had a roller coaster ride, I've certainly had it, you know. But I was dumb, you know. I should have heeded all the warning signs that I got 2 years ago. I drive my own truck. I've got two trucks. I've got a 6 and a 10 horse truck. And I used to drive the truck every year. I used to be 30 kilograms heavier than I am now. And, you know, this is a Sunday morning show, so we won't go into too much details, but I had a few men problems that I should have noticed, you know, and I ignored them because blokes are blokes, you know. And anyway, I got diagnosed with diabetes. And they thought that's what I was losing, weight, everything like that. And as I'm going out the door, the doctor said to me, "Oh, we'd better send you in for a colonoscopy as well." Now, if I'd stepped out of the door 2 seconds quicker, he may not have said that to me. I always remember the way he said it, and I thought, "Oh, yeah, I suppose I better go." Well, I put it off, and I put that off, and I finally went and had a colonoscopy. And I was awake while I did it, and the girl said, "Look, I'm really sorry to tell you, but there's quite a large lump of cancer." And I looked at her and I said, "Look, lady," I said, "go away and get another doctor. I want a second opinion." And they said, "Unfortunately for you, we do not have second opinions when it comes to this." So I'm diagnosed with a rather large lump of cancer. And they told me that I better bring Matthew and Diane. And honestly, I thought I was got 6 weeks to live, you know. I know a lot of people that have died of cancer, and it's a quick downhill, you know, if you've got it. And I had it in the bowel. And the surgeon said to me, "You're going to have a tough 12 months ahead of you, but we're confident that we can get it right." So I carried on with my life, had an operation on August the 8th, and that was a Monday. I was supposed to come out on the Friday. I got an infection. I never got out until the 25th of October. On the 26th of October, dummy me, I jumped on a plane and went to the Cox Plate because I had a runner against Winks. On the following Wednesday, I'm back in hospital again, had another infection in my bowel, and I was there for probably I think it was about a fortnight after that. So, I mean, I know what hospitals look like. So I went all through Christmas, and we won, you know, Group 1 races and everything like that. And adrenaline, racing's a great game. You know that, Nick. Racing, you win races, you keep going, and we've won a lot of races, so it never worried me. And then I came to Hong Kong, came to here, and I had to go home. Unfortunately, Jane Chappell-Hyman's been so good to me, it doesn't matter. So I flew home for this operation. 2:15, they wheel me in, knock me out, and they say to my wife, "Diane, see you about 6:30, you'll be in recovery." 3:45, I wake up, and I'm thinking, that's not right. I'm not supposed to be awake, and I've got a bag on me now, which I'm open about. And I felt down, and I've still got my colostomy bag. I'm thinking, what's happening, you know? And the surgeon comes in, "I'm really sorry, but we found another polyp in your bowel, so we've had to call it off." And I said, "How serious is that?" And he said, "Well, I'm not going to say it's cancer, but we can't rule it out." So I didn't sleep much, to be honest with you. I shed a few tears along the way. My wife and son did as well, because, you know, cancer is one of those things. If you get it, you can clear it up, as you know yourself, you know. But if it comes back, it's curtains. So we finally got an email at Los Angeles Airport on the way through that the test they did showed that it was benign, it was not cancerous. But honestly, if they'd told me I've got 2 weeks to live at Los Angeles Airport, I'd still be here. Of course I would. As I said before, this is Royal Ascot.
You were going to be here come hell or high water.
That's exactly right. Yeah. This is a crowning glory for me to be here. Yeah.
But once you've had the taste of it once, that's not it, Michael.
No.
You can't conk out on us right now. You've come this far. You've got to be back here next year with Sensei.
Yeah, that's right. When you've had good filet mignon, you don't go back to fish and chips, do you?
You certainly don't.
No.
You certainly don't. How important do you think horse racing is for you in terms of sustaining you through these incredibly difficult times? Do you think if you were doing anything else, do you think if you'd been a pro golfer, or you think if you'd been running a store or doing any other job, do you think it would have been able to sustain you in the same way that working with horses?
No, definitely not. I mean, my wife's a massive... She makes me get up and get out of bed. I mean, I went on a cruise for 18 days. When I came home, I could hardly get out of bed. I was absolutely worn out, you know. And my wife put me on a strict diet, and that helped me, you know. And she's the driving force behind me. There's no doubt about that. But at the same token, I've got some really good owners that we train for, and I feel I have a commitment to them. I also feel, and I'm sure people that know me will understand, I have a commitment to the public of New Zealand racing too, because I'm a fairly public figure, trained a lot of winners, so you do get to the stage where you know, the people that have shown you loyalty, you have to show it back to them, and I mean, that's why I'm doing this now, you know. I hope that other people will be encouraged by what Diane and Matthew and I and the owners are doing with Enzo's lad, and there'll be more and more horses come here.
You must feel a lot of responsibility to a lot of people, Michael, because of your experiences and your profile. Responsibility to New Zealand racing, responsibility to those who've suffered tragedy in their lives, like you have with the loss of Jonny. Responsibility to other people who've suffered with bowel cancer, like you have. And it strikes me you're always wanting to raise awareness for all those things. Is that? Do you find it easier in a way to do that?
I don't struggle with it, Nick. As I say, I've been very open all the way through, because, you know, there's something like 430 suicides a year in New Zealand, and it gets forgotten about. You know, they go on and on. They have massive campaigns. It's the same here, probably, I'd imagine. Massive campaigns about people that get killed on the road. Well, suicide prevention's far more important in some ways. There's more people die at their own hand than they do on the roadways, but it seems to be just swept under the carpet a bit, and I don't think it should be. I think the youth of today are under a lot of pressure. I hate Facebook, to be quite honest, but I use it for my business. But I think Facebook has a lot to answer for. Sorry, guys, that run Facebook, but the youth of today, they know exactly where all their friends are, and if they don't get acknowledged by their friends, they do go into that dark hole. And my son was one of them, you know. I'm fully aware that we're a little bit like actors on the stage, and the show must go on. So I do feel that responsibility, but it's no weight on my shoulders. We just carry on with what we're doing.
But by stripping away all the artifice and keeping it real, you can work your way through that, because that is the complete antithesis of, say, Facebook, where everything's for show and it's not real, it's not authentic.
No, I mean, there's no bigger, you know, people say to me, oh, you've had it tough and everything like that, but I've been lucky enough, and I said a quote the other day, I've been on the best drug of all. Winning races is a fantastic experience, and if you ever want to enjoy life, especially when you get to about 50 and your children are off your hands, I mean, one thing they don't do here, they don't syndicate horses a lot, but you can. I was on television one day and I said to a fella, we've won the premiership, he said, oh, you know, racing's a tough game. And I said, yeah, but people have got to remember it is the sport of kings. How if someone gives me $1 a day, I'll give them a share in a horse. And I did. It was the best thing I ever did. I had 360 odd owners. But it bought $36,500 up front. We had a lot of fun, you know. But anybody can own a racehorse, and the day you win a race, even if you only own 1%, that's one of the biggest thrills you'll ever have in your life. And so say all of us, it really is. It is, yeah. Michael, I can't thank you enough for coming in this morning. I know you've got a busy schedule because you've got your cabbie lined up for the tour of London. Yeah, I've got a cabbie lined up for a couple of hours. He's going to take me around London and show me all the sights. It's something that I've done before when I've gone overseas, so the cabbies know the area better than what I do. Well, it's great to see you. Thank you very much. Best of luck next week, and we'll all be cheering you on. Yep. Michael Pitman, who's Enzo's lad, runs in the King's Stand and the Diamond Jubilee. What an inspiration he is to us all. When you rejoin me after this break, I'll be joined by Oisin Murphy, going great guns at the head of the jockeys.